Welcome to the PairRec San Fran Tourism channel. Our goal is to help you find your point of interest by showcasing the top attractions within the San Francisco Bay Area. Now today's feature will be phase 2 of a series of adventures focusing in on the hidden gems of Mission Bay in San Francisco. Mission Bay is approximately 1.6 miles south of Union Square and approximately 3.6 miles south of Fisherman's Wharf. That being the case, let's get started. Today's weather in San Francisco is 54 degrees Fahrenheit with 66% humidity, 8-mile-an-hour winds. Today's date is Monday, December the 28th, 2020. Time is 1:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now we're going to continue our journey going southbound on Terry Francois Boulevard, which is also part of the San Francisco Bay Trail. Now, one of the things I want to make reference to is if you notice the sign there, it shows the 500 block of Terry Francois Boulevard. If you look carefully at the arrow, it's pointing to your left. That means that the numbered block is getting larger, and the reason I point this out is to help you find your point of interest. You need to be familiar with how the streets are aligned, and they're aligned by numbered blocks. So the number is going to get larger based on the arrow of the direction. So for instance, the next block is going to be 600, the next one after about 700, then 800, then 900 until the block ends. Now the opposite side of the spectrum is if you're going in the opposite direction of the arrow, the numbers are going to be getting smaller, the numbered blocks that is. So from 400 to 300 to 200 to 100 to 000, which means the beginning of the street and or block. So that being the case, let's get started. Now this side of the street is Terry Francois Boulevard, but on the other side of the street to your left is going to be the SF Bay Trail. I'll show you in a minute. Now what's special about the Bay Trail is that it's one of the largest trails I've seen within the San Francisco Bay Area, and there's one side of the trail that's for joggers and runners, hikers, and the other side of it is for cyclists. Now this portion of the Bay Trail is for cyclists, and then just to the left of it is for joggers and runners. So as you can see, this portion of the trail is for joggers and runners. So again, if you're into exercise, this is one of the finest trails that you could be on in the city, because you get that showed in phase 1, you'll be able to also observe spectacular views of the bay, Oracle Park, and much more. Now in the opposite direction, and that would be as you're heading northbound, you'll see at a distance the San Francisco Skyline. The farthest tall building to your left is the Salesforce Tower, and that's the tower that I had featured in my film shoot on Mission Street between 5th and Main. So don't forget to check out that film shoot, as it showed the buildings up close. That is, you're right underneath the building, these incredible tall buildings. It's really extraordinary if you're into architecture. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of when trying to identify and or locate a specific address and or street is not only by the street sign, which I showed you earlier, but also on the sidewalk. So for instance, some sidewalks or some street corners don't have signs posted on them, and signs usually on the city poles. So in that case, what you do is you come to the end of the intersection and you look down on the sidewalk, and this is where you'll find the title of the street. Now in this case, it's Terry Francois Boulevard. Now this sidewalk is also a part of both Terry Francois Boulevard and the SF Bay Trail, but on this particular sidewalk, it's closest to the San Francisco Bay. I'll show you when we get up closer. So here are some benches along the sidewalk where you'll be able to observe spectacular views of the San Pablo Bay. You've got the container ships that are out here, and it's really a relaxing area, especially if you plan on doing extensive hiking or cycling within the Mission Bay area. It's a great way to relax and unwind and take a break. As you can see here, there's also a waste disposal area within the bench. So it's a great way to keep the city clean. And so if you have any waste disposal, please don't hesitate to dispose of it in these waste disposal cans. You'll see a lot of them on the sidewalk throughout the various neighborhoods. And we're at pretty much the 600 block of Terry Francois Boulevard. Now this is what you're going to see when you're sitting along the bench here. You see one of the several container ships that are within the bay. Now those container ships, they're bringing in supplies from all over the world. They dock at the port of Oakland, and then they hang out here in the bay. I don't know exactly why, but I noticed that several of them just sit out here in the bay. And I assume, well, I could just be speculating as to why they're out there, but nevertheless, they initially dock over in the port of Oakland. Now approaching the 600 block of Terry Francois Boulevard, between 600 and 699. The cross street is Warriors Way. Now what's special about this intersection is this is home of the Golden State Warriors, the NBA basketball team that initially for years had played in Oakland but moved to San Francisco last year. And so, but currently, of course, no fans are allowed inside the arena while the Warriors are playing due to COVID-19, but I'll give you some shots of the arena here. So the arena is called Chase Center, and I think it seats about 18,000 or so. And I haven't been inside just yet, but I'm really looking forward to attending a Warriors game and just seeing what the arena looks like. So one of the things I see up the stepwell at the arena is a huge mural. You'll find many of these murals all throughout the city. Most notably in the Mission District, which is different than Mission Bay. I'll feature Mission District at a later time. Now, if you decide to drive and park in the city, one of the things you need to be aware of is signage indicating where and how and when you can park. Now, this particular area, just outside Chase Center, is a passenger loading zone. The sign reads passenger loading only at all times, 5-minute limit. That means you have approximately 5 minutes to park here with the purpose of picking up and dropping off passengers. And you'll find that many of these white zones are located at hotels, shopping malls, here at the Chase Center Arena, for the sole purpose of picking up and dropping off passengers. Now, you park beyond this 5-minute limit, you run the risk of getting ticketed or towed. Now, I'm going to show you what the white zone, it's called the white zone, which is a curbed white zone. I'm going to show you what the white zone area looks like. Now, this curbed white zone pretty much covers the entire block of Terry Francois Boulevard between Warriors Way and the next block down. We'll show you in a minute. And then on the curb white zone, this is what you want to look for. Besides the signage on the pole, you want to take a look at the curb and identify whether or not you can park here, because it's going to give you more information about what's going to happen if you violate the parking terms. I'll show you here. Now, the SFMTA is the one who enforces all parking within the city, and so they're the ones that's going to either cite you a ticket or tow you if you violate the parking terms. Now, as I said earlier, when looking at the white curb, this is what the messages you're going to see in terms of whether or not you can park here. It says tollway. That means that, again, if your car is parked here longer than 5 minutes, you run the risk of getting towed. Now, this message clearly indicates no parking. Yeah. And of course, this message indicates passenger loading, as the sign indicates, loading only. You have a 5-minute window from which to pick up and drop off a passenger. And the last message I'm going to show you in the curb is at all times. That means there's no exceptions. At all times throughout the course of the day, week, month, year, you must be in compliance of parking along the white curb. And here's one more, I didn't see it at first. It includes taxi cabs. So this applies to taxi cabs as well. Pick up, drop off only. So at the corner of the 700 block at Terry Francois Boulevard, this appears to be the main entrance of the Chase Center. As you see, they have some directional signs indicating where the restaurants, the retail shops are, where the Warriors shop is, for I guess purchasing Warriors memorabilia, and of course the Chase Center offices and much more. So now I want to give you some individual shots of the entrance, the main entrance to the Chase Center. This appears to be the east entrance. Another look at the main entrance. Here's some silver ball statues and or mirrors. I've never seen anything like it before. I'll try to find out more information about what they are. There's about 4 of them, or if not 5 of them in front of the Chase Center. Yeah, there's like 5 of them here in front of the Chase Center. It's hard to determine exactly what they are. I mean, if you look at them, they look like mirrors, just large mirrors. I'll give you one final shot of some of these large mirrors. Well, looking at this sign, it appears as though taxis do have some exceptions in regards to whether or not they can park here on the white zone, even though the white zone is for pickup and drop off of passengers. It says here, taxi only from 4 p.m. to midnight on event days. That is the day of the game. The day of the event, the game is actually being played, and or event that's being held here, besides the Warriors basketball. And of course, all other times it's passenger loading only, 5-minute limit. And here's one final shot of the Chase Center as we move southbound on Terry Francois Boulevard. Now approaching the 700 block at Terry Francois Boulevard. That's between 700 and 799. Now, one of the things that you'll find is helpful when making the attempt to cross the streets in the city are these buttons, these push buttons for crossing the street. And as you can see, there's an arrow pointing in the direction from where the crosswalk is. I'll show you here in a minute. So once you push that button, you look across the street, and then you're going to see an icon of a person indicating to walk across the street, and you see there's a message board right there on the city pole that indicates the time limit you have to walk across the street. You see it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Notice how the hand is flashing. When the hand stops completely, turns to 0, that means that you can no longer walk across the street. So essentially you have anywhere between 20 and 30 seconds, depending on the intersection, to cross the street. So here's your sidewalk from which you will cross the street. So now we're going to continue our journey going southbound along the SF Bay Trail in conjunction to Terry Francois Boulevard. And those of you that are into cycling and also adventuring along the sidewall, you can check out these electric motor scooters that can be used to transport literally from one end of the city to the other. You simply take this one, rent this one at this location point, and then, which is right in the corner of 16th Street and Terry Francois Boulevard, take it to another area within the city using these cycling paths, and drop it off at another location, or vice versa. Take it at another point of the city, and then cycle to this point right here, and then drop it off right here. Someone using an electric scooter right now. So you can see there's also fishing options along Terry Francois Boulevard, especially when you notice, I'm going to show you in a minute, there's a waterfront walk path that's right along the waterfront where there are fishing options. So as you can see here, right at the intersection of 16th and Terry Francois Boulevard, along the Bay Trail, there's another walk path that's adjacent to the waterfront. So along the walk path is a picnic area. So you can network with your colleagues and friends, have lunch, have dinner, while absorbing spectacular views of the San Pablo Bay. So this is what you'll see from the picnic table. As you can see, I showed you earlier the container ships that are in the San Pablo Bay. But there's another thing I'm going to show you as well when looking at the San Pablo Bay. Now if you look to your left, you'll see the Port of Oakland and the long white cranes along the port. And that's where the container ships drop off their supplies. So they come in from the San Pablo underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, and then they make their way over to the Port of Oakland. And that's where they drop off their supplies. And then, as I said earlier, they hang out here in the San Pablo Bay. So also along the waterfront is a miniature bridge that I've seen lots of fishermen will fish out here at the end of the pier, really much as a small mini pier. You see a lot of these piers along the Embarcaderos, as I indicated in my film shooting on the Embarcadero, but they also have one here along the waterfront. So here at Agua Vista Park, it's a public fishing pier. So as indicated earlier, you'll see the dock. I'll show you in a minute where I see fishermen here fishing at the end of the pier. Now, Agua Vista Park is located at 801 Terry Francois Boulevard. Now the fishing pier is, as I said earlier, also located at 801 Terry Francois Boulevard. So here at the end of the fishing pier, you'll see more wonderful views of the San Pablo Bay, along with the Port of Oakland, as I indicated earlier, and also the East Bay Hills in the background. Another wonderful shot of the San Pablo Bay from the fishing pier. A view of the waterfront along the fishing pier. Now here from the waterfront is several cranes that I believe were used for when the container ships came into San Francisco a number of years ago, before they started going over to Oakland. I'm not certain if they're still used right now, but it's a part of Crane Cove Park. I featured Crane Cove Park, some of my earlier film shoots in conjunction to Potrero Hill, but I'll give you some more great, wonderful shots of Crane Cove Park later on. So one of your dining options here in Mission Bay is Mission Rock Resort. It's a seafood restaurant and cafe has an oyster bar and a grill and outdoor patio seating with spectacular views of the bay. Now Mission Rock Resort is located at 817 Terry Francois Boulevard. Now Mission Rock Resort also serves lunch and dinner. They have a happy hour with oysters, weekend brunch, and also provides private parties, but unfortunately they are currently closed due to COVID-19. Now here's one of several metered parking machines. These are more the newer branded metered machines that you use for parking along the sidewalk. So you'd want to pay attention to these as well if you decide to park along the street. Now, here's a nice little miniature park that has seating options and even a basketball court. Unfortunately, it's not titled yet, or at least I can't find the title of the park. I'll try to check for you. Yes, this park is called Mariposa Bay Front Park, and it's located at 824 Terry Francois Boulevard. Let me give you a few shots of the park, because it has a few amenities you might enjoy. I see a basketball court, a lot of tables here for networking. So let me show you a little bit about what the park offers. So here's a few bench areas, and I see here to your right a few table areas for, again, having lunch and more networking. So here's a grass area for walking your dog or pet, and some more seating options and a walk path within Mariposa Bay Front Park. So yeah, there's also a basketball court area here within the Mariposa Bay Front Park, but as you can see, the rims were taken down, and I believe that's due to COVID-19. And finally, here's the view of the basketball court area. And as you can see in the background, there's some more seating options as well, picnic table seating options. Now, the basketball court does have rules like most of the parks here within the city. No dogs, bicycles, skateboards, roller skates allowed in the courts. No food or glass containers allowed in the courts. No climbing on sports equipment, and they close at 9 p.m. So, as Terry Francois Boulevard comes to an end, it's not a very long street. We're going to turn right on Mariposa, and then we're going to make another quick right turn on 3rd Street as we're going to be going northbound on 3rd Street within Mission Bay. So one final thing about Mariposa Park is that there's a water faucet here. So those of you that get dehydrated and you don't have a water bottle, here's a water faucet you could use. And let me give you some final shots of Mariposa Bay Park. It's a pretty nice park. Actually, once you get beyond the seating area, you have a little grass area here where some people will walk their dogs or pets or just sit out in the grass and relax. And one final shot of Mariposa Bay Park. Now here at the corner of Mariposa and 3rd Street, I want to show you the significance of how you can find a bus stop for public transit. There's two ways. One is, actually we have 3 different forms of bus stops and or transit stops. One is where you notice that yellow marking there, when there's no seated bus area, then the only other way that you could find the bus stop is on these city poles. You'll see a yellow marking indicating the transit that's going to be stopping here. Now you see the K and the T, those are the 2 bus lines that stops there, and then you have the 91 aisle and the T aisle. So essentially, if you don't see a designated stop with a seating area, I'll show you with a canopy, I'll show you what they look like. Then you come to the intersection, you look at the city pole, and then you look for the yellow marking, as you see there on the pole, indicating the bus is going to be stopping here. Now the second type of transit stop is for the light rail transit system, which you have the buses, we have the cable car, we have the F-street car, and we have the light rail. You see the train track here for the light rail. Now, this particular transit stop, they usually create the light rail transit stop 2 different ways. One is where it's on one side of the train track going northbound and the other side of the train track going southbound. Or in some cases, it's just right in the middle of the train, between the train tracks. And then you board the train either going southbound or northbound, or eastbound or westbound. But this transit stop is for the T transit line. It's currently out of order because of COVID-19, so they're using a bus line to provide transit coming down 3rd Street. And here's the entrance to the T light rail transit stop. Now, just across the street is the T line boarding stop for going southbound along 3rd Street. And the one I showed you earlier is going northbound. So I said it's going to vary from intersection to intersection as to the alignment of the T transit line, boarding stop that is. Now just before we begin our journey going northbound on 3rd Street, I'm going to show you going back to the numbered block. We're going to be going north, that is in the opposite direction of where the arrow is pointing. So therefore the number of blocks are going to be getting smaller. So if you were going in the same direction as the arrow, you'd be heading the 2000 block. In our particular case, we're going to be going the opposite direction, which means you're going to be approaching the 1900 block. So the addresses are going to be between 1999 and 1900. Now, here comes the T light rail transit line. I'm going to show you what it looks like, even though I said earlier it's currently out of order due to COVID-19. but it does take you from point A to point B within the city a little bit faster than the bus line and certainly the cable car line. So if you plan on using public transit throughout the city, when the T line or when any of the light rail services resume business, you want to try to take the light rail service. It's a great service that does, as I said earlier, run a little bit faster than the other forms of public transit. Now we're approaching the 1700 block, and that's between 1700 and 1799. I know initially I told you that we'll be approaching the 1900. We were at the 1900 block, going opposite direction of 2000, but the signage somehow is not entirely accurate in that regards. Nevertheless, we will be approaching the 1700 block between 1700 and 1799, going northbound on 3rd Street. Well, just off of 3rd Street, you can also see appears to be another entrance to the Chase Center. And there's a message board here, and that message board indicates a certain piece of information about, it appears to be the Warriors games, time slots. Initially, before I looked at it, there was a image of some of the players' jerseys on it. So let's take a closer look at that message board. So yes, there is another entrance here I didn't realize. This is called the west entrance of Chase Center. So what we saw earlier was the east entrance, which is on Francois Boulevard of Chase Center, but they also have another entrance here off of 3rd Street. It's called the west entrance to Chase Center. And you can see those are the images of the current players on the team. I think they rotated, but this is a message board indicating either content information about what's going on in the arena, or they might show pictures of the current players or whatever message they want to try to get out to the public. And again, here's another shot of the message board and the title of the arena, the Chase Center Arena. So here's a view of the courtyard of the Chase Center Arena. Now approaching the 1500 block of 3rd Street. That's 1500 to 1599. Now approaching the 1300 block of 3rd Street. Between 1300 and 1399, the cross street is Mission Bay Boulevard South. Now right here at the corner of 3rd Street and Mission Bay South is Mission Bay Commons Park, which is pretty much between Mission Bay North and Boulevard and Mission Bay South Boulevard. And it's a kind of one of those miniature parks that you'll see all throughout the city, where you have either a small or a large grass area where you can walk your pet. And they have benches where you can observe views of the park. I'm give you a closer look at the park to see if there's any picnic tables as well. Although I don't see any picnic tables, there are lots of seating areas, benches, and even a walk path here that's on both sides of the grass area. So it's kind of an unusual type of park in that regards. So here are some of the plants that are located within the park, and adds a bit of ambiance towards it. So here's a nice water faucet. For those of you who aren't carrying any water bottles, a great way to prevent dehydration, located at 455 Mission Bay South. Now approaching we're still in the 1300 block, between 1374 or 75 to 1300. Sometimes you'll get a scenario in the numbered block where instead of the even numbered block at the intersection, you'll get maybe a number that's between the 100 blocks. In other words, it'll be, let's say, in this case 1375, or you might get a number that shows 1250. And so, nevertheless, as long as you understand the significance of where you're going in relation to where that arrow is pointing, that's the key component. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of when looking for either any kind of business, restaurant or shop, is that in this case, Starbucks is located inside of a building, and you'll find this to be the case with many types of services, whether it be UPS or FedEx, or again a restaurant or a shop, and that's what makes it more challenging in finding the establishment. And they may be on a second or a third floor, making it even harder. Now, in this case, Starbucks is right here on the sidewalk. The entrance to it is within the sidewalk, so it's a little bit easier to find. And it's at 1375 3rd Street. Now, here's the Chase branch located at 1325 3rd Street. So those of you who are in need of cash, they also provide an ATM machine as well. Now approaching the 1200 block of 13th Street, that is from 1200 to 1299. Now approaching the 1100 block of 3rd Street between 1100 and 1199. Now, what's special about the intersection here at 3rd Street and Mission Rock is you see the outfield segment of Oracle Park where the San Francisco Giants play. And the same token, you also view the Bay Bridge. And the bridge is used for transport for passengers or vehicles coming into San Francisco from the East Bay. You probably use that bridge as well if you're coming from the Oakland Airport, to or from the Oakland Airport, to and from San Francisco. Here's the parking lot where, if you're planning on attending a Giants game, or even the Golden State Warriors NBA basketball team, this is one of the lots you can use for parking. Now approaching the 1000 block of 3rd Street. That's between 1000 to 1099. The cross street is Chanel. Little Creatures Brewery serves coffee, food, beer, pizza, and also their brewery as well. Now they're located at 1000 3rd Street. Now we're going to turn left on Chanel Street as we head towards 4th Street. Now we're going to turn left on 4th Street, and we're going to be facing the 1100 block between 1100 and 1199. So for fresh produce, check out Gus Community Market, located at 1101 4th Street, right at the corner of Chanel. Well, one of the things that's special about 4th Street is it has a bike lane designated for cyclists, and also those electric scooters I mentioned to you earlier today. So those of you into cycling, or you'd like to use one of those electric scooters to navigate your way around the city, this would be a great opportunity to do so on 4th Street. Usually they're on both sides of the street, and I can see there's definitely a bike lane on the other side of the street as well. Well, if you like Ethiopian cuisine, check out Tarou's Ethiopian Kitchen, serving Ethiopian cuisine, veggies, spicy teas, and much more. Located at 1130 4th Street. Well, if you like pizza, check out Casey's Pizzeria. Located at 1170 4th Street, and known for their East Coast style pizzas. They also serve beer and wine. Well, if you have a thirst for juices, check out Joe the Juice. They serve a variety of juices. Located at 1155 4th Street. Now entering the 1200 block of 4th Street between 1200 and 1299. The cross street is Mission Rock. Well, those of you that have a dog, you can check out Healthy Spot. It's a dog daycare and dog grooming shop. And they also serve dog food as well. They're located at 1200 4th Street, Suite F. Now approaching the 1300 block of 4th Street The cross street is China Basin, and we're between 1300 and 1399, 4th Street. Now right here at the corner of 3rd Street and China Basin is the Bank of America ATM. So those of you that in need of cash or have an account with Bank of America, this would be a good opportunity to access funds. So, Happy Lemon serves high quality cheese teas, smoothies, slushies, and more. They're located at 1320 4th Street. So Spark Social SF is a rotating menu of local food trucks. They also serve beer as well. Now I'm going to give you some shots of some of the signage I see on the sidewalk in terms of some of the food trucks that serve a wider variety of foods here. Now Spark Social SF is located at 601 Mission Bay Street. The cross street is 4th Street. So here's one of the entrances to the Spark Social SF food trucks. And then there's another entrance just on the opposite side. So one of several trucks here within the Spark Social SF is called Kojak Kitchen. And they serve a variety of entrees including braised pork koja, chicken koja, kamazi fries, and yumini flies. And then here's the other entrance to the Spark Social SF food truck area. So they also have an outdoor patio area as well with lots of seating in the back. So even more food trucks options as you enter the menu area, food truck menu area. So here's a nice little seating area within the food truck area. And it looks like they have several seats that are centered around a fire pit. But it's currently closed right now, I guess due to COVID-19. Here's another view of the nice seating area with the fire pit. Now here's pretty much the third type of transit stop where it has the canopy that covers over about 4 seating options. And I'll give you a better close-up look because inside the stop you'll find in most cases or in many cases a message board that'll indicate the time estimate for when the next transit bus or in this case bus, but in some cases maybe a light rail will arrive. Also they have outside the canopy bus stop there's a map indicating the routes throughout the city for this particular stop. So let me give you an up close look at the transit stop. So as you can see there are 4 seats that are within the transit stop. And this stop is also located at Mission Bay South Boulevard, which is pretty much right across the street from that food truck area I was mentioned to you earlier. And if you look to your upper right-hand corner, you'll see that normally there's a message board. There is a message board here, but it's not operational. That, as I said earlier, indicates the time estimates for when the next bus will arrive. Now this view shows the top of the overall canopy and what the actual bus stop looks like. So this is what you're going to be looking for when you're looking for public transit throughout the city. As I mentioned earlier, there's pretty much 3 types. One where there's a signage on the pole, which is a little bit harder to find at the intersection. Another, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be for the light rail, which is in the middle of the street, adjacent to the train tracks. And then this one right here is one with the canopy with the seating options inside within the canopy. Well, this concludes our film shoot of Phase 2 of Mission Bay, and we ended with full moon within the city. And if you liked everything that you learned and you saw, appreciate if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, comment, and share with your family and friends. Also, you can check out my website, PairRec.com. That's PAIRREC.com, where you'll not only get more information about the overall experience within the neighborhoods, but also I've created maps that will indicate the route structure that I used to visit the neighborhood. And then you can also subscribe to my newsletter, where you can get a PDF file indicating the specific points of interest. And then also within the YouTube channel, don't forget to check out the other film shoots that I've done over not only within the San Francisco neighborhood, but also outside San Francisco as well. And finally, don't forget to tune in to Phase 3 as we continue our journey within Mission Bay. That's all for now. Have a nice day, and I will see you on the next film shoot. Goodbye.